Hello, everyone. This is my second time recording this because I don't have a studio, and we have this machine that kept beeping in the house, and it sounded like a bomb taking off. So, yeah, I don't really know how to edit a voice recording, like cut pieces of them out. I don't know. That's too much work for me. I am too lazy for that. So, um, today's topic is cognitive distortions. Cognitive means in the realm of thoughts, your thinking, your brain, and how it thinks, your mind. Distortions is when your brain basically acts like a drama queen. Like let's say you were drinking tea and you drop your mug and there's tea all over you, and your brain will be like, "Oh my God, I hate my life. Why does everything bad happens to me? Why? Like that. You just negative stuff. But it's more complicated than that, and it's more specific. And psychologists put those distortions in 10 distortions. So I don't care if today's episode will be short or long. I don't really care about that at the moment. But I just want to talk about them because I feel like in today's day and age, everyone has these distortions. Like whether you have mental illness or not, if you grew up on social media, or if you're a Gen Z or millennial, if you're a human being, you have them. I don't care if you admit it or not, you have them. So I hope this helps you and helps me. And shout out to my two friends who listen to this podcast. You guys are the real MVP. And I don't care if I make 50 episodes and you're the only ones that listen. As long as I get to do this and one person listens to it, I'm happy. So the first distortion is all or nothing thinking. It's when you view things in absolute black and white categories. So that's pretty much the example I just gave. When if you have an exam and you're like, I have to either get like a 100 out of 100 or I fail. It's like this or that. There's no in between. Like it's okay if you get like a 97 or 78. Your life will not collapse. And the second distortion is overgeneralization. It's when you view a negative event as a never-ending pattern of defeat. Again, oh my God, this whole tea mug thing dropping out of your hand is a great example again. Because you say something like, "Oh, this always happens," "Oh my God, this is my bad luck." I don't know. I should have prepared some examples, but you just generalize things. You're like, "My luck is bad. My life is hard. This always happens to me. I never get a break." You just generalize it, yeah. And the third distortion is mental filter. It's when you dwell on the negative and ignore the positive. And oh my God, everyone I know has this, including me. It's when you just, especially with social media, like when you scroll through Instagram and where your friends and, well, most of them are strangers, let's be honest, post about like the highlights of their lives, like the best thing that's ever happened to them. Like they post good things only, and you start to compare. And so you have this mental filter. You're like, "Oh my God, why am I not spending a vacation in Hawaii?" Like Karen over here, while you're ignoring the positive things, like maybe you're healthy right now and you're taking that for granted. Maybe you have a roof over your head, you have food on your table, your loved ones are healthy, you get to eat ice cream whenever you want, stuff like that. You're just ignoring the positive things. You don't have to spend a vacation in Hawaii for your life to be awesome. So that is the mental filter. It's when you just laser focus on the bad stuff and completely ignore the positive. The fourth filter, distortion, is discounting the positive. You insist that your positive qualities don't count. Just coming with. You insist that your positive qualities don't count. Oh, okay, for example, you come to a friend and you're like, you know, you just start complaining and you're like, for example, you say, I keep cooking this meal and I keep burning it. I mean, life is more complicated than cooking a meal and burning it. But, and your friend is like, that's okay. Like, you're like, you are good at making coffee. You're a good driver. you, you're good at cleaning, but you're like, no, none of that matters. I can't like bake that stupid cake. So my examples are so bad, but you discount the positive in you. Okay, I'm gonna be more serious. Your friend is like, but you're strong, you are creative, you're smart. Like, this doesn't count. I'm gonna be a little I'm gonna take a personal take here. Like, I have a friend of mine, and um I always talk to her about how easily I can, telling her that I can easily plunge into like sudden, well, it's depression pretty much. Like, my thoughts race, and I get into this loophole of just negative thoughts and whatever. And I'm telling her that, yeah, I'm really sick of this about myself. Like, I'm so tired of it. So she tries to remind me of my other good qualities. And it's really important to do that because I think most people are humble. Most people are too humble, actually. Like, they do not even recognize the good traits they have. They don't even think, because we were raised to think that, oh, if I, wake up one day and I'm like, oh, I'm creative, I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm that and that, people will be like, oh, you're so like, arrogant and you're self-centered or whatever. But like, you're not doing that. You're just acknowledging the good qualities you have. So yeah, that's a distortion, is that you focus on the bad traits you have, which do have a negative effect on your life, but like, your life also has other parts in them where your other good qualities shine. Okay, so the fifth distortion is, oh, this is my favorite one, jumping to conclusions. You jump to conclusions not warranted by facts. You're just like, I feel like this is how I conclude this, and you're not even backed up by facts. So there are two ways you can jump to conclusions. The first way is mind reading. You assume that people are reacting negatively to you. Oh my god. Mind reading is something I do a lot, actually. I sometimes, especially when I was younger, I'd say, like, yeah, younger, I always felt like I was a burden on everyone. I always thought that I was annoying everyone, that like, if I was telling too many jokes, like, I'm annoying them, or if I don't know. Oh, I always loved sharing facts that I just learned since I was a little kid. I was that kid in class who always had their hands up to tell you an interesting fact of the day, for today's topic, and I always thought that people hated that. I just read their minds in a negative way. I'm like, people hate that. But really, I had so many people approach me and tell me that they like that about me. They like that I can tell them a useless fact that they'll never have to use ever. And the second way you can jump to conclusions is fortune telling. You predict that things will turn out badly. Again, who doesn't do that? That is like the negative of hoping. The negative is the opposite of hoping, the opposite of being optimistic. You're just like, doesn't matter. It comes back to that overgeneralization thing, is where you're like, this always happens, everything goes bad for me, like, everyone breaks their promise, everyone leaves, everyone betrays me, everyone, like, everyone, and it's so black and white. So You mind read people. You assume that they have bad intention, and you also fortune tell your conclusions when you predict things, and they will turn out badly. I'm just repeating myself. But there's a take that I have on mind reading is that most people are nice, and we forget that. Most people don't even think about you, and we forget that. Um, I mean, just look at yourself. Do you sit around on a couch and be like, this person that I met for that I talked to for 15 minutes today said this thing, and I'm gonna think about it for the remaining of the day. Like I'm just gonna think about how much this person annoyed me, or how much this person, bothered me with their stupid opinions or whatever. Like, do you actually waste half your day thinking about that? No, we don't think about people that much. We are usually thinking about ourselves and how other people perceive us and how we are affecting other people's lives. So why would you assume other people do that? Why would you assume that other people will sit on the couch and be like, oh, this person that I met who was was so annoying and they bothered me, so I'm gonna think about them all the time and how much they annoyed me. Like, don't mind read people like that. And if there's a trait that you don't like in people, like, try not to have that in yourself. And I don't know how, but the universe works in awesome ways, and it will come back to you. Like, people will have that trait when they are with you too. I don't know how to explain it, but like, if you always give people the benefit of the doubt, they will give you the benefit of the doubt too. Which all comes back to, most people are nice and most people don't think about you. This is not a distortion. I'm just going off rails here because this is something I noticed and I wanted to share with you. The sixth distortion is magnification and minimization. You blow things out of proportion or shrink them. I think this is self-explanatory. The shrink them part. I mean, we always blow things out of proportion, but shrink them. Sometimes some things kind of deserve to be blown out of proportion, like some really big life event, or I don't know, like someone you love falls ill and you don't find yourself stressing or worrying about them a lot, but other silly things, you blow them out of proportion, and that is I think is a sign of an unhealthy thinking. Like, maybe when things are actually serious and bad, it's okay to blow them out of proportion. But if it's not under your control, it doesn't make sense to blow it out of proportion. So the seventh distortion is emotional reasoning. You reason from your feeling. You say, I feel like an idiot, so I must be an idiot. This is basically what cognitive behavioral therapy means. You say, I feel like this, so I must be this. No, wait, that's not the same. CBT is when you have a thought, so you feel it. Okay, so if you think, I got a bad grade on math, so that's a thought. So your feeling is, I'm an idiot, or I'm stupid. So emotional reasoning is when you say, I feel like this, so I must be this. You say, I feel like I'm sad, so I must be depressed. I feel irritated, so I must have bipolar disorder. No, sometimes you're just feeling something. It's not you as a person. It's just a feeling. Don't give it so much importance. Like, if you, for example, if you trip and fall, you're like, I feel like a klutz, so I must be a klutz. No, you're not tripping and falling all day, every day. It happens once a day or something. You know what I mean? So just because you feel something doesn't mean it's who you are as a person. It doesn't mean it's your good and bad qualities. It doesn't mean it's your like job, or it's so specific. The Number 8 in the distortions is should statements. You use should and shouldn't, must and have to, and whatever. Like, wait, I kind of forgot what this one means. I should. As a distortion, you say, oh, like, I should be better than this. I should be grateful. I shouldn't do this and this. I guess when you say it that way, it's kind of negative. It doesn't really encourage you to be a better person or be better. Instead, you could say, I made a mistake and I'll do better next time. Say I will instead. I guess. I don't know. Number 9 in distortions is labeling. Instead of saying I made a mistake, you say I'm a jerk or I'm a loser. Again, with like the emotional reasoning, when you say I feel like an idiot, so I must be an idiot. So when you label, like for example, let's go back to the cake thing. You burned a cake. So instead of saying I burned a cake today, you say I'm a bad chef. Not a chef. What do you call it? Cooker? I don't know. If you like, for example, if you paint, you mess up a painting, so you say I'm a bad painter. I can't paint. You just label yourself instantly based on one thing that happened one time. So be careful with that distortion, because it can really stop you from growing and evolving, because you make a mistake once and you just like, I guess I'm not, sometimes I see people who okay, I paint, so that's why I gave an example for it. They're like, I tried painting once in kindergarten when I was 4 and I didn't like it, so I don't, I guess I suck at painting. And I'm like, what? When you were 4 in kindergarten? Like you're just labeling yourself based on this ancient event that you had in kindergarten. So it's so limiting, The last distortion is blaming. You find faults instead of solving the problem. Which goes back to problem-solving skills. That is a whole other field, I think, in psychology that they always talk about. We have really bad problem-solving skills, I think. Most of us do. We just panic and we worry, and we don't even identify if this thing is under our control or not, because I think the first thing that you have to notice when you try to problem solve is this under my control? Because if it's not, then don't even think about it. Don't waste your time. So in blaming, you either blame yourself or you blame others. For example, when you blame yourself, you blame yourself for something you weren't entirely responsible for. I find that a lot with people that have too much empathy. Like, for example, a mother and a father have a kid together, and the kid is like, starts screaming and crying. So the mother's like, oh, it's my fault, like I didn't raise him well or whatever. So she takes the blame for herself, even though the father is equally responsible for raising that rascal, rascal? Who says that? So, like maybe blame other people for a change, or like be reasonable, sometimes bad things happen and more than one person is to blame. Like, it's not just you. And when you blame others and overlook your own contribution to the problem. So yeah, I guess that goes back to it, that blaming other people, I think, is found in narcissistic people, because they think they are angels, they make no mistakes, they are nice people. Oh my god, how could they create a problem? I mean, they are perfect, so they instantly blame other people. So, and there are so many narcissistic people out there. You could be narcissistic sometimes. So this is a good self-check to be like, should I be blamed for this? I mean, and that is it's not blaming as much as admitting your fault in like a problem. that is always like the first step towards getting better. Because if you don't admit it, like, you can't do anything about it. Like, if you don't admit, for example, that you have distortions in your thinking, then you won't even look up CBT or cognitive distortion, and you will just end up living in misery and making other people miserable. So, yes, those are all the distortions. And I was actually planning to talk about how to recognize those distortions and how to like do exercises on how to fix them and think in other positive ways, but I'll probably do that in another episode. So I'll write those distortions in the description below the video, and I highly encourage you to just I don't know, to recognize them in your thinking. I will talk about how to recognize them in your thoughts in the next episode. But just keep them in your mind from like this episode to the next. And CBT is like a huge topic that you can search, but for me, I think it goes back to these 10 distortions. Like, I've read about this years ago, and I still always see it in my thinking and in other people's thinking. And I think this should be like common knowledge for everyone.